everybody. Thanks, everyone. It's funny. I remember 5 or 6 years ago, right after Cherokee Park, we did that festival. I called up Ashley Cox, and I asked her if I could stop by Waterfront and get a copy of all the building and construction layouts that went in to the design and planning of Waterfront Park. And of course, she looked at me kind of strangely and asked, why on earth would anybody want that? And I remember a long pause and saying, because I want to move Forecastle here. And then she looked at me and said, I think that makes a lot of sense. Little did I know at that point, being 22, 23 years old, that there was a big difference between doing a festival at Waterfront and actually filling a venue like Waterfront, which is a lesson I learned at the Belvedere about 2 years after that. So I picked up the maps, and I went home that day, and I kind of sketched out my dream festival that night. And there were 4 stages, including 2 dueling 90-foot stages, each actually on opposite ends of the park here. There's big side wings, there was extreme sports park, there was art installations, and of course there was a big Caribbean tall ship sitting right out there, anchored away. And all those things that kind of make Forecastle what I think is probably one of the most unique festivals and movements coming to this region. So that night, after I spent pretty much all night kind of dreaming and drawing, I finished the first Waterfront Park layout of Forecastle, and I put it on the edge of my desk where it's been for 5 years since then. That was until about 3 weeks ago when I got to throw the drawing away and start on the real one for this year. Looking back on the past 9 years, there's been a lot of people in this community that have sacrificed a tremendous amount for this event, and there's a lot of companies that have come forth to join in that fight to make this Forecastle a reality. I don't know any festivals in my lifetime that started with as little as we did and grown as fast as we have, and I think that's testament to the Louisville community, and especially the young people here in the early days who fought for it. And while time is one thing, obviously treasure is another. And before I announce the initial lineup for the festival, which I know is what everyone wants to hear, I want to highlight some of our long-standing sponsors who have been stuck by us and committed themselves to this vision. And if everyone wants to give a large round of applause for each one, that would be very nice too. First off, the Bluegrass Brewing Company, who's coming back on as our official beer sponsor. Local beer for a big festival like this is a testament to us. Merrill Footwear, Patagonia, Jansport, Red Bull, Quest Outdoors, Heine Brothers, Ear Ecstasy, Brown Foreman, The Gald House, Kentucky Air Education, Volume Forms, Leo, the Nashville Scene, Cincinnati City Beat, Indianapolis Nouveau, Smiley Pete, Gaither Graphics, Riverbend Winery, and Backseat Sandbar. And with that, I get to announce the initial lineup to the 9th Annual Forecastle Festival. It starts with the quintessential Forecastle Band, which has eluded us for 3 years now, that we finally roped in and got back to Louisville for the first time in over 10 years, the Flaming Lips. Woo! Returning for a second triumphant year, Widespread Panic. Returning for the first time in over 6 years, Spoon. And the rest of the class of 2010 Forecastle, Bass Nectar, the Drive-By Truckers, Minus the Bear, The New Deal, Lucero, a reunion by Captain Jazz, Ted Leo and the Pharmacists, Sarah Watkins of Nickel Creek, Dar Williams, Iodo, Break Science, Boombox, Mimosa, Savoy, Mukapaza, Too Fresh, Company of Thieves, and Morning Teleportation. Yep. Keep in mind that this is just, that this is just the initial lineup. We're going to have more headliners and over 60 performers to be announced in April. And with that, I get to unveil the artwork for this year in the 2010 Forecastle ship. And last but not least, I want to invite our partners, Nederlander Entertainment, who's largely responsible for the success of last year and the more success that we're going to have this year, I know, at Waterfront Park. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer some, and I'm sure they would too. So.